Hi, I'm Ben Koldev, and today with my partner James Hegarty, we will be discussing a managerial term known as tone at the top.
We will be directly addressing the question given to us here, and through this I will be directly discussing what tone at the top is and what various effects it can have on a company.
I will be discussing an infamous case of what happens when there is poor tone at the top, none other than Enron. I'll be evaluating the case and going through a step-by-step overview of what went wrong, right up to their eventual bankruptcy and demise in 2001. But first, I'll head it back to James, who will discuss what tone at the top is and its effects on a business.
Firstly, I'll be discussing what tone at the top actually is. Tone at the top can be defined as a term used to describe an organization's general ethical climate, as established by its board of directors, audit committee, and senior management. In layman's terms, this essentially means how a company or business's management team commits and acts in terms of important ethical values such as honesty, integrity, and openness. Tone at the top is considered to reflect throughout the whole organization. Tone at the top is considered to reflect throughout the whole organization, and it is important that the managerial team communicates ethical policies both formally, through written codes of conduct, and informally, through acting with proper integrity to set an example to all levels of employees. As I said earlier, tone at the top reflects throughout the whole organization. This means that there are many drastic effects that either poor or good tone at the top can have on the organization. The first effect is employees of all levels acting with higher ethical values and therefore having better internal control. Properly setting tone at the top at managerial levels provides an example to all employees on how to act with proper ethical values. This is how tone at the top permeates through an organization, with the lower level employees taking their management teams as role models, reflecting their ethical values. Without management acting with proper ethical qualities such as honesty and integrity, it cannot be expected of other employees at lower levels to act with ethical values. Therefore, tone at the top has the effect of employees of all levels generally acting with higher ethical values, which promotes good internal control, as employees are more likely to comply with laws, regulations, and policies. This makes the organization more risk-averse, as there is less likely to be trouble with the law that may lead to financial repercussions. To illustrate this point, I'll draw a quick diagram on the board. Firstly, you have the board of directors. Below that, you have the second level management. And then obviously below there, you're going to have your employees. So obviously tone at the top is going to start at the top here with your board of directors, also slightly with your second level managers, and that will just permeate down to your employees, who will then have great ethical values such as integrity and honesty. Back to you, Ben.
Now I'll be discussing what happens where poor tone at the top has created drastic problems. This is none other than the infamous Enron. Enron was a public company that specialized in drilling and selling natural gas. Up until their closure in 2001, Enron appeared much more valuable on the security markets than it was. This was due to the various unethical business practices and accounting practices that they partook in. They used creative accounting methods, which, while not technically legal at the time, were a direct breach of the ethical business practices. Special purpose entities, which were essentially companies created and owned by Enron, were used to hold their losses and debts to make the company appear worth more than it actually was. Eventually, the bubble of Enron popped, and the true value of the company was exposed, with their securities beginning to drop drastically. Enron became bankrupt in December 2001. Tone at the top, or Enron's lack of, was precisely the reason that led to their demise. Enron's corporate culture was essentially focused on profit through any means necessary. This can be seen when Richard Grubman, a Wall Street analyst, complained that Enron were not producing balanced or finance sheets, to which the Enron CEO replied,
Well, thank you very much. We appreciate it, a-hole.
This not only showed that Enron were not only hiding their unethical business practices, but they also did not follow integrity and respect when dealing with its critics. This poor tone at the top by the CEO reflected throughout the whole business, even to the lower level employees. The employees were essentially ranked by performance, and if you were in the bottom 15%, you were pretty much fired. So this essentially led to employees being forced into unethical business practices to increase their performance in fear of being fired from their job.
So to conclude on today, tone at the top is a term used to describe an organization's managerial commitment towards ethical values such as honesty and integrity. I've elaborated how this permeates through the whole organization to all employees, and how this can have a drastic effect towards better internal control and creates a more risk-averse business environment.
I discussed what happens when tone at the top is virtually non-existent, as was the case in Enron. I briefly overviewed the history of the Enron scandal, what went wrong, such as the complete disregard for integrity towards following ethical accounting practices, and how this led to their eventual demise in 2001.
I hope you've learned something today, and thank you for watching.
Goodbye.